across the Atlantic, two men separated by time zones, accents, and wildly different snack preferences join forces. Not for glory, not for fame, but for something far more noble, a live stream. This is not just any live stream. No, this is Hold My Net. And so, dear viewer, you are not here to be entertained. You are here to be transformed or mildly amused. Either is fine. From the United States, Tai, a man fueled by questions, koi food, and the occasional button he probably shouldn't press. And across the great pond, literal pond, Aaron. From Humber Koi, steady, informed British. Together they are not hosts. No, they are guides. They'll bring you experts. They'll bring you insight. They may even bring you slightly awkward pauses as someone forgets to unmute their mic. Each month, the current brings with it a new guest, a traveler of the koi world, a bearer of insight, experience, perhaps even a few well-earned scars. Together, we cast our nets wide, not to catch but to understand, to pull up the deep things, the overlooked, the misunderstood. But that's the point, isn't it? This isn't scripted. This isn't rehearsed. This is the koi world, raw, real, and occasionally full of pond sludge. Each month they cast their net, not to trap but to explore, to gather wisdom from the brightest minds in koi keeping, and to share it with you, the brave viewer who could be watching literally anything else right now. So whether you're here to learn, to laugh, or because you thought this was a cooking stream, welcome. You've entered the koi pit. You've tuned in to Hold My Net. Let's just hope Tai remembered to hit the go live button this time. But if not, that's what Aaron's for.
Welcome to Hold My Net, the koi show where we learn about koi together today to help koi hobbyists of tomorrow. I came up with that just now. That might be the new tagline. No, Aaron and I have started this show to help us all learn more about the koi hobby together and bring on guests who know a heck of a lot more than either of us do. So today we've got Devon and Mickey with us from Koi to teach us about, well, a couple of different things. But Devon, Mickey, if you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about your koi shop and your backgrounds, that'd be awesome.
That's going to be the hardest question you ask us tonight, to introduce ourselves.
I can introduce you. This is Mickey Andrea Hernandez Swanson, Social Security number 4.
Do you know your Social Security number?
Of course not.
So this is Devon. I'm Mickey. We're from Koi in the USA. And yeah, we opened our koi shop in California in 2018. Yeah. But we've been doing koi for a little bit longer than that, just a little bit.
Her family started kois and ponds in the Philippines in 1993 or 6? 1991. Okay. I started Koi Acres together with my older brother as like a homeschool to high school project in 2003 that then eventually grew into, we absorbed my dad and he started doing pond building. And that's what they mainly do now is pond building. So we wanted to branch out and do just koi, and what better place than California to do it. And her family all lived out here and I made her suffer in Minnesota for 7 years. So we figured we'd move out here and start a shop and see how it went.
Yep. I take it back. It was 93, but
I thought you were good at math.
No, I don't have a very good memory.
Yes.
But yeah, we've been doing for a little bit, and we met because we do koi together.
Yeah, we met at a koi show. Mm-hmm. Totally wasn't an arranged marriage.
Yeah. So that's us.
The way you said that, I don't believe you, but
it's well documented. There's photos. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you have proof.
Yeah.
Oh, well, awesome. And you guys sent us this little video of your shop that we'd love to show people really quick. Yeah. Cool.
Yep, that's cool. So before we start, guys, what we're going to do is we're just going to play a video from a little shop tour that they sent us. and then we're going to have got some pre-structured questions, and I'm going to open it to the audience if they've got any questions for any of us that we can ask out there. So Ty's got some really cool questions to ask these guys and a few really good topics, and then we'll open to the floor to the audience. So let's put their video on now, and we'll go from there.
What are we doing?
We are packing up Ty's fish. Check it out.
Beautiful. So. Jumbo Tosai, Shiratsuri, and Showa from Omosako. We have some Kohaku and Kikusui, some other Hikari Moyo. The Kohakus are from Marudo and the Hikari Moyo are from Kanno. Over here we got some Asagi and Yamabuki from Marudo and Shisui from Kawakami. And over here we have a mix of different koi from Marudo, Izumiya, and some from Kanno as well. Couple of other breeders I'm sure too, like Omosako, I believe. And the same goes for these guys over here. So our humble shop. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and these guys are getting ready to go. Bye-bye.
Well, a couple extra special editions, right?
Yeah.
T-shirt.
That's how you put the t-shirt in. Just slam it on.
Yeah, that was a little violent. Sorry, nice fish.
But yep. And this is how we pack every koi from Demikoi. The only difference from with this box as opposed to any other box that people buy from here is the stickers. Live stickers, fish on, and fragile. Right, Dev?
And we're back in the room.
All right. So there were some questions we wanted to ask you guys, and I kind of let you know a little ahead of time that one of the big topics I was hoping we could talk about, just because I think it's a confusing or not quite clear subject for a lot of people, is Tategoi. But I was hoping we could ask you guys a couple of other questions as well, kind of as we go. So, Devon, I mean, your apprenticeship at Maruto Koi Farm was quite unique, I think. And I was wondering if you could share some of that with us and maybe how that experience helped shape your approach or how you select koi.
I think it really shaped like how we run our business in regards to like how most people, when they bring in fish, that's it. They sell it for a set price, whereas we'll actually go through all our fish and kind of grade them and sell them at different.
I think we have to first start because we're terrible at introducing ourselves. Devon actually trained, for our audience members, Devon trained at a Maruto Koi Farm for 3 years. He lived there for that since you're 17.
Yeah, I went like a little bit early. I was supposed to wait till I was 18, but I ended up going early when I was like 17, about to turn 18.
Yes, this was one of the things about, I think you mentioned earlier, the homeschool high school project. Yeah. So when he was buying fish in Japan, they noticed him and they said, "Oh, you look like a young person. Would you like to apprentice with us?"
Because there's a culture in Japan too where they'll take like the son from a different farm and absorb him into the staff and train him how to like the business in general. And then after they, I guess, graduate, then they go home and then they can take what they've learned from the place they went and studied at and applied it to their business and so forth. So that you don't, because if you keep doing the same thing, you'll stagnate. You'll get stuck in a rut and you'll never improve. So by like sending your kids out, also like their point of view is if it's your own children working for you, you're going to be too soft on them. You're never going to be strict and like teach them the hard way. So that's the benefit of it as well.
Exactly. So he went there when he was 17 and they, I guess you had a little break for 1 year where you went home.
Yeah, I got caught by immigration.
Because he was there during the time there wasn't any like visa for cultural studies just for koi.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you can't keep doing this whole
going
3 months
in and out on a tourist visa.
On a tourist visa, even if it's, I mean, it was an apprenticeship, so it's not like he was making revenue or anything like that. But they still said you probably should get the proper paperwork.
It was right around the time where they started digitizing and taking everyone's fingerprints when you went in and out of the country. So then they had like actual records where they could go, whoa, you've been here a lot.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Incidentally, because they wanted to get the proper paperwork, Maruto, from the boss, actually hired a couple of lawyers to handle that. And he got the first cultural studies visa to study koi, because there's one for ikebana or karate, I believe.
Yeah, bonsai. It's very common. People go over there to train for that all the time.
Nobody had ever had one for koi, and they issued him the first one. Like it's the letter is actually like right here. I can't. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to break it, but it's on the wall right there.
Yeah, they sent like a little letter with the application saying, "Congratulations, this is the first of its kind."
Yes.
So that was pretty cool. At the consulate, when I went to submit my passport so they could put the visa in it, like I was like, "Wow, this is unique. Like this has never happened before."
So, I guess going back to your question, how did that affect how we do our business? You were saying earlier, like
how we kind of grade and sort our fish, and I guess we kind of run it like we're running a farm in Japan. Other than we're not breeding the fish, but we're still treating the fish the same way.
Yes.
So like we have our own Tategoi, and basically what that means for us is these are fish that we think have potential, don't look maybe so great right now, but they can develop in the future, or it's just stuff that we want to see how it's going to turn out. So we want to hold on to it. We don't want to quite sell it yet.
Okay. Okay. My next question is actually for Mickey, because well, the way I met you guys, I didn't explain this. I met Devon and Mickey at the All American Koi Show like 2 months ago.
Yes.
And I glad I can say that we became friends. And anyways, Mickey, the day of the show, you had your head buried in the organization and everything that was going on to make the show happen. I feel like you were the engine behind the scenes that was making the machine work.
Thank you. I think you're giving me a lot of credit, but thank you.
Well, I just know that you have a pretty significant role in helping organize different koi events, and not just in the U.S., but in other countries as well. I was wondering, like, what have you learned about building community through these sorts of gatherings of people? And do you have any like memorable moments to share from these different places you've been over the years?
I'm not sure if I have specific memorable moments, but I do notice it's so easy to come together at these shows. Like there are a lot of people like, well, I met you because I watched your YouTube channel. Yeah, I don't know if I recognized. Did I recognize? I don't remember if I
I
recognized
don't
you
think
right
we
away.
recognized you, but like when we saw the figurines, we're like, oh, it's that guy.
Did you?
I don't know.
I
Maybe.
remember watching your channel, and then
I've seen some videos.
I remember now. You approached me and you said like you watched our videos and you told me about your channel, and I'm like, wait, I know your videos. I've seen your videos. That's kind of cool. The deck thing that you're building, and I was like, it's really great to connect. But that's actually something that I see no matter where we go in the world. People who just suddenly like they meet there, they start talking, and I don't know, maybe it's something because we're all crazy fish people. Nobody can quite speak your language, and when you meet somebody like elsewhere, you're like,
Yeah.
I know you. I know what you're saying. I know you're.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's something about Koi that just makes people connect really easily.
I'd like something about Koi attracts weird people too. So we're all just a bunch of weirdos doing this, aren't we?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of truth to that.
We don't want to admit it.
Unique. Koi people are unique.
Yes. Yes.
I've got something to throw in the mix. So before Ty asks his next question, I was gobsmacked. Now, obviously, you're going to pick up a bit of Japanese, aren't you, when you've done 3 years apprenticeship there? But when I watched your guys' video, my mind was blown how good it was. And I know people that can speak other languages, but my word, I was just jaw dropped. Ty sent me a link and said, have a watch to this. And I said, oh, well, I'll have to play it through my van speakers and just listen to it because I'm driving. He said, you won't be able to listen to it. And I just thought I was going to do it as a podcast. So I pulled over, pressed start, and it was just coming through the speakers. And at the next service stop, I had to pull in. I was like, I'll have to wait till I get home because I listened for about 5 kilometers of you two speaking Japanese, and obviously I had no idea what was going on. But yeah, amazing. Like I came home and told my wife, like, this guy is it could be like an international interpreter. Is that the right word? Interpreter.
I've done. I actually was an interpreter for a G8 summit in Niigata one time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Super a fish.
That was the first time I wore a suit.
He was that 18 years old?
I think I was like 18.
He was 18. He was
18
an
or 19.
interpreter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of interpreters in Niigata.
They had like a exposition area for like all the cultural like arts and stuff like that of the area. And since it was in Niigata, so they had like a bonsai exhibit. They had koi, sake. It was like another exhibit they had, and like the rice too, because that area is really famous for producing rice. So like I think they tapped the shoulder like the Japanese Shinkokai and asked them, hey, can you guys like set up a booth and like exhibit koi to all the delegates from all the different G8 countries? So they asked me to go interpret. I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
It was
Sounds
a
like fun.
chance for him to take a day off.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
What is your question, though? Is there a specific thing?
No, so like it was just more of a statement. So, what I was trying to do is, if anybody out there hasn't seen these guys' channel, there's a QR code on screen. They've got some amazing content out there, even down to, which I thought was amazing, was your the definition of a shower and what to look out for between the shower and the tanky.
Yeah.
Like, so
that's my favorite video.
That video
we've ever filmed.
took 2 months to film. So like every time we'd film, I'd have to like shave to the exact same like length of beard or stuff.
Yeah, that ending credit that was totally like true, completely true, because like we did keep.
Yeah, we kept having to shoot it, reshoot it, and we'd find something out that like
And I
defeated
wouldn't
what we
quit.
were trying to say, and we're like, okay, well that ruins that theory.
I was like incorrigible. I wouldn't quit, and he was just so tired of it. But like, no, we gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to him speaking Japanese, that's actually one of the things I really liked about him, because there are other foreigners who do go to Japan for prolonged periods of time, specifically in Niigata too.
Yeah,
But
specifically koi related.
yes, even koi related, and he speaks it really well. He went native. So, and I could appreciate that, because you really like allowed a different like culture in instead of just.
Well, when you're 17, it's a really good motivating factor to learn another language.
Yeah.
You wanted
Yeah,
to
there you go. Well, and I can imagine that, like, being able to speak Japanese well has like really helped with the relationships and the partnerships that you've built with different breeders and stuff over there. So you actually like really get to know them.
Yeah.
It definitely helps him in terms of when they see him and they know that he speaks Japanese, they feel really good about it, because it's like, oh, you don't want to just learn about koi, you're actually coming to our level and like meeting us where we need to be met. There, and the Japanese that Devon knows as well is very specific to Niigata, where there are like
there's like slang, I guess, of that area, or like a dialect.
Yeah, so even if you studied Japanese in Tokyo, Japanese is a little bit different.
You'll be able to converse, because everybody knows how to speak like standard Japanese. It's just little pockets. Certain areas have different words that are unique to that area. And that's another like level of the language that then when you really get into it, it's really fun to learn like the different nuances of different areas.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. So Aaron and I have been friends for a little while now, and I am continually finding out that we speak a different language.
Yeah, British English is very wrong, I like to say.
We're not very. This one is not very politically correct.
What was it? The other day I was like, dude, you're messing with me. You're yanking my chain, and you're like, I'm doing what? Like what?
Yeah, apparently get in touch isn't a thing for them. They're like, we don't touch people. We don't even talk.
It's funny that one of our friends, Steve Gibbons, he's from the UK, and Devon and him will have entire conversations where they're talking to each other, but they only realize what the other has said like after the entire day is done.
Yeah, like the next day I'll be like, when you said this, did you mean this? And be like, no. You're like, oh man, I just don't understand anything you said then. The whole conversation made no sense.
It's amazing how you guys don't clarify.
Because we don't ask for directions. Like when guys get in trouble and get lost, we don't stop to ask for directions. We just pretend like we know what we're doing and keep going.
See, that's the nice thing about koi though. It's a universal language. Because I guess that's why you guys don't stop to clarify. He's actually in koi as well. Steve is in koi. And so we hang out in Japan, we'll talk about fish when we're there, and at the end of the day, we'll meet up. They don't need to speak British English or American English. They just speak koi.
Well, I mean, my words to Tai was, if only I could speak English as good as Devon can speak Japanese. My words after that. I was that blown away by it, because every time we speak and he's nodding and I'm like, you don't know what I've just said, do you? And I said, what do you think that means? And then we both end up laughing, because what he said is something completely not over here.
English is the hardest language, I think. The Brits just can't get it right.
Well, speaking of things that are difficult to understand, see that segue I just did? We were going to talk about Tategoi.
Yes.
So, for those who are newer to koi keeping, how would you define Tategoi? And why is it such a misunderstood concept in the koi world?
So,
it's one of those words that can mean so many things.
Yes. So, let's go with etymology, like if you want to explain that.
Yeah. So, Tategoi, in a literal sense, means like outstanding fish. Like this fish is good, it's going to be better, or it's the best. So
Tate means to stand up.
Yeah.
And goi is like koi.
Koi.
So tate, standing up, koi.
Yeah. So koi that stand out, or outstanding koi. So what that means, like for me, if I'm choosing a fish, like a Tategoi would be like a project fish, something that I want to see long term how it's going to develop. Something like that.
So yeah, Tategoi to the beginner, I guess the first thing you'll find is like people will say, that's my Tategoi. That's the best koi. That's the initial interpretation. But like now what it really is, it's a lot of different things. Tategoi is about fish that stand out, but sometimes it could stand out for different reasons. Most of the time we do choose Tategoi because we believe it's going to turn out good. But on occasion, we'll choose Tategoi because we don't know how they will turn out. And we want to see
like
how it turns out.
A great
because
example,
it stands out among the rest.
We have this like Tancho Kohaku, little tosai, that it's got like a perfect spot, but it has like this red that you can see like through the skin that's just under there. And I have no idea what that's going to do because I've never actually grown something like that to see if that red like emerges or if it disappears. So we kept it as Tategoi just to see what would happen, just because we're interested in seeing how that fish develops.
Yes. Among the like this batch too, we have our little tosai. We would select through them, like we were mentioning earlier. There are, we keep our Tategoi where there's the definition of what we know would turn out really good. But among, like for example, the shusui, I kept some with like really interesting head patterns and really interesting red patterns on the body, because I don't know how that will look like as it grows bigger, how it stretches, because Benny stretches, but also not really. I want to see what that looks like as a bigger fish. And to be honest, the only way you can see how it gets bigger, how it changes as a bigger fish, is to track it. You take a photo of it and then look at it as it gets bigger.
From the standpoint of a farm, like when they're choosing Tategoi, that's their fish that are going to be like their best 2-year-olds, something that they want to see in the future, or even from their 2-year-olds, fish that they want to grow on to 3 years old. And technically then, once that fish is sold, it's no longer their Tategoi. It then becomes your Tategoi because it's your project fish that you want to develop, or it becomes your show fish or whatever you want to do with it. But Tategoi just is a term that means like these are fish typically not really for sale. Sometimes they are for sale, but it's just fish we want to see how they develop, and we feel like they have a bright future ahead of them, and we want to see that materialize.
So long story short, Tategoi means so many different things. And that's why you just go to the meaning, the root of the word koi that stands out.
Koi that stand out.
We've got a question that's kind of related to this. So rather than wait to the Q&A section, I'll just throw it in there now.
Sure.
Oh, tateshita.
Okay.
This is interesting because Tategoi, tateshita, this actually relates to levels of quality of koi. And there are actually quite a few levels.
There's three main, there's 4 levels of koi in Japan. There's like zatsu, which are just trash that they get rid of. There's chupa, which is like middle grade. Like that's like your general for sale tosai. Then you have Tategoi, which first you get Tategoi. Tategoi and chupa, usually when they're harvesting the ponds in September of the tosai, they're going to pull out all the chupa, bring them in September, but they're going to leave the Tategoi out in the mud ponds for an extra 2 weeks, and they get crazy growth in those 2 weeks. So then they'll harvest those Tategoi that they left out last, bring them into heated ponds, much bigger volume of water per fish. They're fed, 6 to 8 times per day. And throughout the winter, some of those fish aren't going to make the grade. So they're going to start pulling fish out to lessen the numbers to give more space and room to grow for the true Tategoi. Those fish that they pull out to the Tategoi are tateshita. And in Japanese, shita means under. So tate, like Tategoi is like the outstanding koi. Tateshita means the fish just below Tategoi, because they were like removed from Tategoi.
So stand out under.
So tateshita, like a lot of times, most of the criteria they're looking for, like when they're first pulling stuff out, it's going to be like a lot of male, because they really usually only keep females to grow on in the future because that's what the market demands. There are male Tategoi as well. It just all depends. And then like later throughout the season, you're going to get females fish that just don't make the grade. So they'll pull those out too. So Tategoi is the highest level. Tategoi is just below that. There are great fish in There's great fish in Chupa even.
Yes.
The farms don't know. They don't have a crystal ball. They don't know how these fish are going to turn out, and they have limited space. So they can only keep so many if they really want to see the full potential develop. So even within like their middle grade Chupa stuff, there's going to be good fish here and there.
That's true.
Well, that was a really relatable question. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a whole bunch of questions, but I was so focused in, I didn't have my next one ready.
That's fine. I mean, it's a really it's a really deep question, and it has a lot of layers to it.
Mhm.
Especially when it relates to the current industry today. A lot of people believe that just because like that the Japanese breeders don't ever sell anything good, that they want to keep it to grow out for later. But the reality is nobody has a crystal ball.
Yeah,
Nobody knows the future. They know what they've seen. They have a lot more experience. They do specialize in it, and they know how their koi develop. But you don't know. You don't know.
We've had like a good example from like Omasako. His chupa, like they're so small, they're not developed yet. You don't know how that sumi's gonna come out. You can get great fish out of those. Like we even had a customer win like I think baby champion at a koi show. No, young champion at a koi show from a fish that they bought as like a tosai and then grew out.
Yeah, and even we get it wrong a lot of the times too.
Yeah.
So one of our friends, Woody, like he spot fish from us. I think Ty featured him on his channel.
Woody.
The fish too were all pretty much like most of them are from the 50, like the cheapest tank that we have in our store. And because he gave it like the best care, and he was able to really focus his energy on bringing out the most potential out of that fish, he was able to grow it way better than we could have. Because our resources go on to different fish. But because he was able to focus on that fish could beat the stuff that we would have like pegged as something like that would have been Tadishta for us. So it really comes down to care and your care.
Care and
your
environment
skill.
and feeding.
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
So, no, I didn't freeze. I'm still here.
Okay.
I mean, you talked about that Tancho Kohaku with the red on it, but I was curious, have you ever taken a chance on a koi that others have overlooked?
All the time.
Yeah.
How did your just wondering if you have any like memorable examples or I don't know. I guess just over time, like what do you think is like helped you better see that potential in a fish?
Having experienced like growing fish gives you a huge advantage choosing fish like patterns, because so many times people see pattern at the stage of the fish it is right then and there, and they can't picture how it's going to look like when it grows into it or outgrows that pattern, because that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, I think another thing too is the more beautiful fish you look at, the more your eye develops for koi. And when that's why it's a good thing to go out to a koi show, to see what's out there. To those who have the opportunity, we go to Japan to look at the best that they have to offer. And sometimes it's not in the koi show. Sometimes we go to their farms and see the fish there. There's a lot about like when you keep looking at beautiful fish, the natural instinct towards it, like you develop that natural instinct.
Yeah, the more exposure you have to koi, I think the easier it is to learn. It's like the same thing. When I learned Japanese, I had a private tutor for a year before moving to Japan, but I learned nothing. But once I got there, the TV's all Japanese, the radio's all Japanese, the people all around you are speaking all Japanese.
Yes, that's
the only way to really learn stuff is really like soak it in. You have
to actually do it. And another thing that I noticed too is when you're looking at fish and you're putting yourself out there, exposing yourself to fish, I think it's really important to not overthink it. There's so many times that people choose a good koi and they talk themselves out of it because they
start breaking down each point of it. Like, it doesn't have, like motoguro if it's a show or something like that.
Got red on its fin. That's no good. But
yeah, they talk themselves out of good fish. because they go by like these are the standards that I've been told to look for, instead
So-
of appreciating the whole thing for the piece of art that it is.
It's not, koi is not a sum of its parts. It's a whole overall experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get in trouble when we break it down too much.
Yeah.
Memorable fish though.
Memorable.
Oh, yeah.
fish.
Memorable fish. There's one. Well, the thing is, anytime because we sell fish, we're not really able to keep fish, because if somebody wants it, we have to put food on the table.
Yeah.
So we try not to get too attached to any one fish. So
Yeah, like
typically-
recently I posted, Mickey sold this little sanke that I wanted to keep. Man, I wanted to keep that fish to grow it.
but we can't.
I think I saw that thread.
Yeah.
However,
But at least it went to a good home, so
It
I know
did,
it'll
it
be
did,
taken
yes.
good care of.
so what we tend to keep are fish that, like we had a goshki that was a really nice goshki, but its tail was like three.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
Call it-
3-pronged instead of like 2-pronged.
yeah. So
Like,
it was like
I don't know, that
this.
doesn't
The
really
tail was
work.
like that, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's deformed, but it's not a big deal because it's such a small thing. But it was a really pretty goshki.
Yeah.
So but the chances of people actually wanting that because of that deformity is like a little bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
So we kept it, and that's our fish. Another fish that's really memorable to us is before we put up Demikoi, Devon had koi acres in Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
and they would grow out fish in their mud ponds. I think the first batch of fish are jumbo tosai from Sakai,
Yeah, they were in there.
and that was a really good batch. A lot of those fish turned into grand champions.
Yeah, went on to win like GCs or reserve grand champions.
Oh,
Stuff like
wow.
Exactly. One of the fish from that batch, because we would number the fish, so people will say, "Oh, I want number blah 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 blah." One of the fish from that batch, we could never sell because it didn't have any sumi. It was
Yeah, and the pattern was
was a
too
sanke.
big. It's like an overbearing pattern for when it was a small fish, but it was a pattern for a big fish.
exactly, and that fish was number 23.
So it's like Michael Jordan.
So we named it MJ,
Yeah.
and to this day, we haven't been able to sell it.
Well, we stopped trying to sell it too.
We
It's
did.
just kinda like-
Like,
she's the first fish that I grew from Tosai to 80 centimeters, which was my goal in Minnesota because it's such a cold climate there.
Wow.
We hit that. She hit that size at like 8 years old, and now we still have her. Like my mom takes care of her right now. She feeds her every day, and she's got to be like
she's
90 or over 90 cm.
the last time we measured her, she was 93.
Was she? We measured her.
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
I think 93 or 91, one or the other. I mean,
I'm trusting your memory here.
she's over 90. We did measure her, and she's 14 years old
And she looks great.
because Minnesota
Wow.
has a cold
Cold
water
climate, so
and-
she grew slow
Yeah.
and didn't like overstretch her red or anything like that.
So we're really
Mm.
excited about her because she's technically a leftover fish.
Yeah, nobody wanted her. She's been available all these years, but no one wanted her. So now my goal with her is we got some big ponds out here in California that we're gonna finish, and bring her out here, finish her, get her prepped for the show, and bring her to the All American Koi Show next year.
And hopefully
Hopefully
win something big.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
there we go. That's one of the fish.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Those are fish that we grew in our mud ponds, and you posted this
And
because you
this
could
was
see this.
the advantage too of like knowing how koi develop and having grown them. I bought this fish as a 2-year-old at Maruto because it had like virtually no sumi on it. But I knew
No, it looks like a kohaku.
Yeah.
Like on the screen right now.
I thought it
Yeah,
was
I knew-
really relevant, this, because as you was just speaking then, prior to the live, I was talking about this koi to Ty.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, the koi that they selected, I would have never picked in a million years. But my God, now it's absolutely amazing. And I said, so from somebody that's served their apprenticeship over there, like the eye that they must look with is completely different, because at 55 cm, I would have gone.
More so than my apprenticeship, though, knowing my water conditions where this fish would be going to grow played a bigger role in it, because I knew my water in Minnesota could bring sumi out. And I could see there's a little bit of sumi here and there. And like with that good of like a kohaku pattern on a sanke, and because it has like no sumi, I was able to get it for a great price. And I knew it's worth the risk. Just try and see what happens.
Yeah. I think with Devon is very gifted at talking about koi. And this is one of the reasons why I married him. The way he talks about koi, the way he shares it, his insight into it, I guess his perspective on it is so unique and so natural. Like he can show you a koi, not break it down, but like show you different aspects of it, and then it just clicks for you. But he never talks about it in a technical way. It doesn't seem so like difficult, just natural.
I feel a lot of people like to throw out like the, I don't know, catchphrase words like subo sumi and all this kind of stuff just to try to convince or like confuse newbies or to make them seem like they know more than they know.
Highfalutin words.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, you'll probably have to teach him the highfalutin words because he doesn't know many many of them. But he'll say, hey, look at, like, for example, kadogen. I think a customer was the one who taught you what that was.
I was like, oh, it's just like the shiny on the back edge of the scale only. And they're like, oh, you mean kadogen? I was like, oh, it has a name.
Yes, but then the way he was talking about it, you see each and every scale is like is aligned with that shininess, and it just makes it glow. And he knows how to talk about fish and see things about fish. So when you talk about eye for koi, Devon's taste in koi is not my taste.
Yeah, I like unusual patterns and stuff like that. She's more like traditional 3 steps and all that kind of stuff. That's really boring.
But what he'll show you, the way he shows you what skin quality is, for example, the way he shows you what a full body looks like, the way he shows you the elegance of how a fish swims, the way, like when he shows it to you and we're sitting next to each other in the pond, it just clicks. You just see it. So then we can both appreciate koi, even if we don't have the same taste and pattern. We can both say, that this is a better fish because it has better skin or body, or this is a better fish because it has. Yeah.
And that sanke too is a great example of like Tategoi. That's a fish that nobody else would buy or even bother with. But to me, that fish was a Tategoi because I knew there's got to be something. Like, give it the opportunity to show you its true pattern, true colors.
So you would have bought that fish, Aaron, after when you...
Oh, Aaron, we can't hear you.
We must be just mesmerizing them. It's muting themselves.
Still muted.
No, we still can't hear you, buddy.
Just type a comment.
You should have like a yes or no.
One word.
One word.
Okay.
How many syllables?
All right.
Do you have any other questions for us? Well, what about you? Ty? Would you have bought that fish at 55 cm, and would you have bought it later?
I don't know.
Why?
Probably not. You know what? I don't know. I don't know that I would have.
At all.
No. No, just being honest. I might not have been paying close enough attention when I'm looking at a bunch of other fish. You know? Mm-hmm. It wasn't the one that would have stood out to me, I don't think. But it's just crazy to see the transformation that it had.
Yeah.
Remember that video about Sanke versus Showa?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't see the sumi in that Sanke.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Right?
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. Yeah.
So
it's also not that common.
No, that's not common.
It's not common.
For sure.
It stood out.
Yeah.
Like the Tategoi.
Like the Tategoi.
Yeah.
Do you ever have to like kind of recalibrate your clients' expectations when they're looking at Tategoi or fish that I'm just curious when you're having these conversations with people,
In
either they're not seeing the potential or they're looking at the wrong things maybe for what they want.
Take that poster that's behind you. Everyone has seen that. Everyone has seen those koi. So they come into our store looking for those koi. So when I show them a Tosai Showa and they look at me like, are you trying to like scam me? This is not a Showa. That's not what it looks like on the poster. And you have to tell them, no, but this isn't developed into that yet. It's a whole process for that fish to eventually reach that point. So that's one of the hardest things to like educate customers on is the koi go through drastic changes to get to the form that you know it as. And I guess you'd think it would be common knowledge, but it's not.
So for example, like baby champion at koi shows, those little koi, most people believe that those are, like Tosai because, and great examples of Tosai. But in reality, those are probably 2 or 3 years old. And the reason why they win baby champion is because as the koi ages, their skin gets thicker and thicker and the color
Carries
pigments
more
come
color
out
cells.
better. You don't see through the skin as much. Tosai, a lot of the times when you look at them, the skin is so thin. So the colors are not so sharp. The black is
Not
not
as deep
there. You could see the imperfections, I guess. Sometimes you could even see through the head, the skull,
Yeah.
like the shadows of that. You could see that. But you never see that on baby champion fish. It's because they're
usually like a couple of years old and they're kept intentionally small to develop that kind of skin quality so that they can compete
which is
at that level.
Yeah, my dad actually says this all the time. It's difficult to grow a fish. It's even more difficult to stunt a fish. It's that where you can cut. Once a fish grows, it's grown.
Yeah.
So
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Yep.
We can hear you now.
Who would have thought that a hardwired DJI transmitter into the PC, it wouldn't charge it? I just thought that it would charge it and it'd run out of battery, and I thought, it's plugged in.
Technology, they never work when you want them to.
So I've had to plug a wire into it, even though it's plugged into the PC.
So we figured it out.
But yes, I would definitely not have bought that koi, even though where we live is amazing sumi water. Like,
Yeah.
all of my koi, if you look on videos, the black is just incredible for going sumi. But I would have never picked up on that, and I would have thought that it was at 55 cm that I would never be able to make it like that. But that was one of the best pictures I've seen for development in a long time. That when I'd seen that
Watch
on the
him now just buy all these sunken
Wow, these
show
pockets.
that have no sumi at
Yeah.
all. It's like, I don't like sumi. Why is your pond all just red and white? They
Hey,
promised me it was a show. It turns out it was a kwaku.
I'm curious to what your water conditions are where you live.
So we have really hard water here. Like my KH is, I think it's about 16 out the tap, and my pH,
16?
yeah, literally straight out the tap. My pH is normally about 8.2 out of the tap.
That's not crazy.
Yeah, that's good.
And anything I put in the pond just seems to be like, because of how hard our water is, anything I seem to put in the pond is just black. I've taken.
How long does it take for the black to come up?
Not long. Saying that though, it depends on the breed, because I've got a N&D Shero that's white still.
How long has it been white?
About a year.
Ooh.
But from what I've read and looking into the bloodlines of the DK Shero bloodline, there's a chap in the comments who's been on earlier, Marcus. Now he's heated and I are, and his koi looks the same as what mine is a lot further down south where the water's softer. So maybe it's a late development thing.
Yeah.
With that bloodline, but I was seriously expecting when I put one, because you can see that there's areas of underlying, but it's not coming up.
How much sunlight do you get in a year?
Yeah, my dad's got an Omasako Shiro, and he's brought that from a softer water area back, and it's really starting to come into its own now, because I think the shop got rid of that koi cheap because the sumi wasn't coming up. And he's brought it back to, my dad only lives 2 minutes away from me, so he's got very, very similar water, and he's brought that back here, and it's flying up now. It's doing really well. So,
have you ever tried kumonryu or anything like that in your pond?
What's this?
Have you ever tried like a kumonryu in your pond at all? Like something where it's an unstable changing black?
Right. Oh, have I still got the picture of it? I've got. So the first koi I bought was a Beni Kikakuru, right? And we've just knocked the filter house down because it was hung up inside it, so I don't actually know where it is, but I will find the picture for you.
Yeah.
And we bought it as a very small tozai, red across most of its body. That fish turned into a black fish fully.
Wow.
And I said, and it was a standing joke that each year it was becoming more and more and more that it was going by. And
did it ever like
the black go down and then come back?
No, it just kept getting more and more and more to the point that it was sad because we did lose that fish. It got stuck.
Oh.
In winter, we had covers on when we went on holiday, and it got stuck behind a rock that it couldn't get back out of. So behind the skimmer box, it was small enough to get in it, but not get back out of it. So I was a bit gutted about that, because that was the ever-changing koi in the pond, and it was one that I was looking at going, and I keep used to show people saying, this is what it used to look like, and you would have never ever said that it was the same koi.
How long did you have it for?
About, how would you say, 2 years, Nick, or was it 3 years?
So
2 years.
In that time period, it just kept getting blacker. It never.
Yeah, like you'd have never said it was the same koi, never in a million years.
So if you need to get your sumi up, you just got to bump it up to 16 degrees of the cage.
What about on your sunlight? How much sunlight do you get in the pond and throughout the year?
So in summer, the pond is in sun. What would you say, Nick? Full sun till like 5 o'clock. So full sun till 5 o'clock, and then the fence casts a shadow. On winter, not that much so, because the sun's a lot lower and the stuff behind it casts a shadow on it. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Because you have a working theory.
Yeah, I have a working theory that I don't know how true it is, but if you feed a bunch of vitamin D to the koi, maybe it'll help make the sumi come out.
Because
testing it.
Sumi is melanin.
Yeah.
And melanin
produces vitamin D.
Maybe
you got to feed them melanin. Who knows?
But like if you want to prove yourself right, look for places where you could be wrong, because you can always find reasons to be right.
I mean,
so you don't have a lot of sun. I mean, I'm sure it both plays into it, but yeah.
I'm quite fortunate in summer we do get a lot of sun.
Yeah.
But in winter, it really struggles with temps.
For England, until 5 p.m. is a lot.
Could you hear him? He said for England till 5. That's a lot.
Oh yeah, it's good sun that. But I mean,
California, Minnesota, even.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's not a lot.
Well, we get really long days in the summer in Minnesota.
Like until 9 p.m. there's still sun. In California, it's bright sun. So.
Do you know in England, if it was 2 hours, that would be considered a lot.
Yeah.
How do you smile?
It looks so fake. It's forced.
So, yeah, that's why a lot of people in England have air source heat pumps.
Or what? Sorry?
A lot of people in England have air source heat pumps.
Air source heat pumps.
Do you know that?
To heat the water in their ponds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It must be an old thing. Like
An air source heat pump, it's like an air conditioning unit, but heats on an inverter water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so obviously where you guys live, last year I was lucky to get my water to 21 for a week.
Last year, I think we hit at the hottest like 28 in one pond. Yeah. It was hotter.
I don't know.
No, I think we hit 34 in one pond. I'm not sure.
That's crazy.
In Celsius.
So it's funny that you mentioned like about the heat and stuff. Like I grew up in the Philippines. My dad still has his koi shop there. It's called Kois and Ponds, and he pioneered bringing in like high quality Japanese fish to the country. I think he's still he's still the biggest shop, I think, in the Philippines. I don't know. I haven't lived there for a while, but the shop is still there and he's still pretty active. But one of the interesting things I bring it up is because we're actually a three weather country. We have hot, hotter, and hottest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, 4, and then rain.
Oh yeah.
Monsoon. So it's tropical, super hot. I had never seen koi pox in my life.
Oh yeah, until moving to the US.
Till
where
I
the water
moved.
gets cold enough for it to actually happen.
Exactly. Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah, carp pox, like all the koi have it. Just whether they develop it or not, it's just if they're stressed or
But I had
compromised
never
immune
seen it
system.
in the Philippines. And so Minnesota has the cold water, and it comes out usually in the colder season.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a fish. I'm like, oh my god, Devon, it's sick. There's something wrong with the fish. It's like it's got stuff on it. And he's like, no, that's just koi pox. I'm like, koi what? I had
You've never seen it.
never seen it before. Different problems.
Yeah, they can't maintain skin quality in the Philippines because
That's
the
a
water
problem,
gets so
yes.
hot that the red just disappears.
Yes, but even if it does maintain it,
It never has that.
There's just a bunch of Shiramujis over there.
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. So even if the
No,
koi,
there's a bunch of Shirotsuris over there.
no, we do have like they aren't able to hold it, but what it always loses is that the shininess, the luster that like take an ice cube to your skin and all the pores just like suck in.
Yeah.
You lose that a lot of that in the Philippines because you have such hot water. It's difficult to maintain the luster unless you chill your pond.
I think that's you tying it. Is that what you're
Yeah. Oh, no, Alex,
a super chat?
dude, thank you.
What?
Wow. No, Alex at Fathom Aquatics. If you need to know about, I'm gonna say the name wrong.
Dun, dun, dun. Say it with a British accent. It might make it right.
No, it won't.
Now I want to hear Ty's British accent.
Baisher. No,
Nice.
if anybody's interested in Baisher, that is the guy to go talk to.
In what?
Baisher. It's
Baisha?
a type of fish.
Oh.
Alex knows more than anybody, I think, when it comes to Baisher.
Cool.
Anyways, I got to know Alex. I know a bunch of other people in these other aquarium groups. People who know a lot about other types of fish. Blows my mind, but koi's the only thing that I know anything about.
Same
My
here.
knowledge is still like this, I think. So.
That's actually a good place to be.
Before we jump off heat, so obviously on my recent video, I had to dive in our swimming pool because we're building a new pond.
Mm.
Obviously, you guys won't just normally dive in 8-degree water, will you? 8-degree sea water to fix your pond. So you can imagine how cold that was when I was wincing on the video.
Yeah.
What's 8 degrees C in?
Needles everywhere. Actually, 8 degrees isn't that bad. That's only like 45 degrees Fahrenheit.
Minnesotan, so it's a little bit different.
We have this thing called polar plunge where we cut the ice off of the top of the lake and then jump in for some reason. I don't know, charity, they say. Yeah.
McFarty pants.
Somebody was asking about, so Aaron and I are both streaming on our own channels.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So we do have this running, and we did that because we just figured that since a lot of his audience is in the UK and a lot of mine's over here in the US, we could help reach this to more people by doing that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe one day we'll make it some sort of challenge where like whoever gets the most comments or something, the other person has to do something.
Well, I'm winning at the moment.
Which means all of my people will go to his channel, so I have to do the thing.
You gotta jump into an 8-degree pond.
No.
That's the price you win.
8 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ooh.
I'll give Nikki, my wife, she is sat with both channels on a laptop, moderating both.
Everybody give it up for Nikki.
Yay.
Yeah.
So, Ty, do you have another question, or are we throwing it out to the audience?
You know, I'd love to hear from people what questions they have for Devon and Mickey.
Excellent.
I noticed swapped overs to ties. I think you lost a viewer there.
Darn.
Lumi, that's real tight. I was loving your number.
Lumi, thank you.
Right. If no one jumps straight in with a question, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
If you was going to build a 6-meter long pond by 2 meters, how many bottom drains would you put in it, and why?
What's 6 meters in
6
feet?
meters is like
What
20
is-
foot.
2 meters is like 6.5 feet, so that would be
Every 2 meters.
13 feet. 13.
So you want 3 bottom drains.
So we're about 20 feet.
Yeah, I'd say 3.
And
3.
why?
Why? Because like their radius of where they can draw isn't. You're obviously working on gravity flow, right? Not like pump suction.
It will be gravity.
Yeah, so you want. I think the radius of what a bottom drain can draw is like maybe 2.5 meters or something like that on a gravity. So you might as well just overdo it. Keep the pond clean so you have no like dead zones.
Thanks, Susan.
Yeah.
Here's some salt. Rub it in.
I didn't. My finger slipped and actually meant to bring that comment up. So I was looking at that, and then I was looking at also tapering the entire bottom of the pond.
Stop being
So
cheap. Just buy 3 bottom drains.
I don't have a filter capable of running 3 bottom drains. I don't have a filter capable of running 2, but I'm contemplating putting 2 in.
Can't you mod it? Mod your filter?
Well, the pond build is happening now, but I'm trying to future-proof it.
Ah.
Right,
You could
so-
always add an extra one in there and just cap it. You know, if you're doing great, put the infrastructure in and then use it when you can.
That's the plan, to put it in, and then when I'm doing a filter clean, purge it so nothing gets stuck
like
in it.
Japanese style, yeah.
And just every time I clean the filter at the moment until we get what we're after, is just to purge it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was looking at 1 to 2 with a full tapered, every corner tapered to the middle with like a, I don't know, like a 2 meter flat in the middle with 1 meter spaced.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if
there's another theory as well. Let me show you the other theory. This guy here has been wanting me to do it in a different way.
Like this way,
Like that. He wants me to slope it completely one way and put a bottom drain at one end. Now,
I mean,
this is the second idea of what's going through, and I'm at the point of digging at the moment.
So it's now or never.
Well, I'm at the point of digging now, and I could have been digging today, but I haven't made my mind up, and I've already got a deep end, so it's either.
Well, I think it's one of those things like koi. You don't know until you do it.
Yeah.
And like there's no such thing as a finished pond. I feel there's always something you can do. It's just like a house. There's no such thing as a finished house. You're always doing something to it.
Mm-hmm.
It just matters what works for you, I guess. 3 bottom drains restricts filter availability, and flow rate would have to be crazy high to keep them all flowing free. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you just use valves or standpipes if you want to balance the flow between them. If you have like a collection box first. I mean, there's a million different ways to do ponds, and there's so many like opinions on it. At the end of the day, it's how much maintenance and what kind of work do you want to put into it.
And yes,
it comes down to. And what are your limitations? Like if your filter can only handle 2 bottom drains, and you don't ever foresee yourself upgrading that filter, then just do 2.
Yes. Yeah. Another like just to throw one more thing into the mix. It's interesting because you think of a koi pond, the first thing you say it's bottom drains, right? Just recently we met Hector, who owns the All American Koi Show.
Yeah.
And he's a pond builder. He builds koi ponds. His koi ponds are completely different than anything.
He does a sand bottom and then reverse flows. So the water returns through the sand, like upflow, back to the pond. And then like there are no bottom drains. There's mid-water intakes and skimmers where they suck the water from.
Exactly.
And his thought of that is like koi play naturally. They like to rut around in the bottom eating their food. So why not give them a layer or something to play in? And you feed sinking food, and that helps keep everything stirred up and keeps everything clean.
Exactly. And in theory, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We haven't tested it in reality, but we're working with him to try to see how it actually does. Because if you think about it, like you have a skimmer that skims at the top, you have a bottom drain that's in the bottom, you're getting all the waste all over. You have a mid-water intake even maybe. But what if you're just flowing it one direction, like everything up as opposed to like getting it from all over? And I don't know how it works. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know what the caveats of this type of system is
until we try it.
But there's only one way to find out.
And it makes sense because like when we did our mud ponds, you would see like holes where the koi just stick their face in and dig and eat so they can get like there's a lot of like bloodworms like in the clay and stuff like that. So they're bored and they're always constantly like we have koi in an aquarium and we sit and watch them. They're so bored they sit and dig in the bottom all the time.
And it's good for their like the theory is too, it's good for their body development because they're actually working.
Like
if there aren't any anything for them to do, like nothing in the bottom, what are they
going to sit around and do nothing?
I mean, at a certain point they'll if you have like a jet returns, they'll probably swim against that. But once they get bigger, they usually stop doing that. It's kind of like us. When we get older, we just sit there and watch TV all day. Or YouTube videos all day.
Yeah.
So my old pond was pump fed, and it was exceedingly inefficient. Exceedingly. Like my pump house was, I think it was about a 15 meter, 40 mil pipe away from the pond on a retro bottom drain. So just like a pump that pumps up. Now, from putting a swimming pool in and putting the filter just directly next to it now, the amount of flow that's gone in for a fraction of the price of electric is unreal. Like, I put a 10,000 litre pump on it rather than a 20, and the torrent going round this round swimming pool, they're absolutely loving it. They're swimming towards it as fast as they can and just putting the pecs out and gliding back around it, which is amazing. So, like, efficiency on this new pond, I want to make sure that is correct. And and go from there. So like there's 2 comments above this that is my biggest fear of doing it. So Vince is here. A single floor is good, but personally, I don't think it was that one. I think it was. So I've spoke to Vince about this, and I thought about having a single bottom drain with full tapered edges would allow me to pull more water through.
The one thing though that's a little bit scary about having a single bottom drain in your pond is that's a like failure point. You have no backup. Say something
You have no
clogs
fail
that
safe.
bottom drain. Yeah, you're kind of screwed.
And then Dave, on the other hand, has put, it's not about balancing, it's about running sufficient flow through each one. But I think 2 must be the option. I don't think I'm going to go to 3. I think I'm going to go to 2. And I think my mind was already made up before I started and go from there. So we've got a question that is regarding American ponds. Probably not, obviously, Tide pond. You knew exactly where this was going, didn't you?
That's the thing. Those aren't koi ponds. Those are water gardens. So it's a different thing. People that have those type of ponds, they're keeping them to have water lilies and frogs and turtles and all these kinds of things. But the problem is koi is very addictive. So once they put a koi in there, then suddenly that's all they want. So usually those ponds are great because it's a first stepping stone to get people into the hobby, but they usually quickly outgrow it and then have to convert to like a bare bottom pond or like a koi pond.
I think it's interesting too, though, because like I'm hearing the way you're talking about, like I want to upgrade the pond and I want to do this and I want to do that. And it's interesting because we're also helping a friend of Woody upgrade his pond right now. And the amount of thought and the amount of things that he's considering right now, I am betting is nowhere near the amount of questions and thoughts that he had when he put in his first pond. Like when you start building your first pond, you're like, I want to have big fish. I want to be able to grow them. And so I need to have a big pond, but I also want it to look nice. You're not thinking about flow. You're not thinking about which skimmer. You're not thinking about jets. You're thinking about the experience. And it's kind of like at the dangerous point now where you're like, oh, wait, I know too much, but I don't know the answers to it. So a lot of the times you get stuck in those questions and then you start to overthink it and then it gets paralyzing. But if we could remember how we just first dived into it and then learn from that, pick a question, pick something that you want to try to discover how to fix, and then just, I guess, be willing to make the mistake because we're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen, and it's not going to be perfect. To speak to the American style of doing koi ponds with the rock bottoms, that is something that, it's probably, like he said, a water garden, and they just decided to do koi later.
Yeah.
The koi, I don't know how long they will be thriving in that, but I do know that a lot of them once a year will empty out their ponds and take the pressure washer to the
clean all those rocks out, pump them all out.
Exactly.
It's a lot of work that people don't know.
Yes,
exists.
They do thrive, but you have to be willing to do the work. Everything is something that you can work around, but you have to be willing to do the work. If for some reason, let's say, for example, and I don't know what will happen, but if you decide to do just one bottom drain and, like you said, it gets clogged and you have no recourse, guess what? You're going to probably have to buy a vacuum, and you're probably going to have to start vacuuming the bottom of your pond as if you didn't have a bottom drain.
I was thinking more along the lines, if it got clogged, then potentially your pond gets pumped dry or something like that.
Or something like that.
Happens.
Or
you burn up a pump because it has no water flowing to it.
And these are all like things that are terrible.
Yeah, it's worst case scenario, like redundancy things you have to think about when designing the filter.
But I'm sure that in your existing pond, or at least the one that you had before you upgraded, you already have experienced some sort of disaster that you managed to solve.
Yeah, we've had a few of them. They've all been documented on the channel of like frogs getting caught in pump fed.
Ooh, yeah. That's
honestly, the retro bottom drain inlet is about that big, and it went through that through about 6 bends, through a non-return valve, and was after that. And I cut sections of pipe out in meter lengths trying to find it because I couldn't get the filter to work until I found it that close to the pond. It was, what was it, December? Absolutely ice outside.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not something you want to be in the pond in. It was.
I remember you sending me the photos and just like, wow, it just looked horrible.
That's called character building.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Character building.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm sure if you look back now, you probably have a better solution.
Oh, Woody's here.
Yeah, he's late.
Hey, it's Woody.
I'm sure now, like in retrospect, you probably like, oh, I should have done this so that it would have been. I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah. So like now that was an in-ground pond that was pump fed out. Now it's going to be a gravity pond, which is built out now. So
I guarantee you'll have different problems.
Yeah, like wherever your gravity flows into your filter, you probably want some sort of like height limiter thing. So like if the pump were to break a return line and start to drain the pond, it won't drain it completely. Like that's something to think about.
Wow,
as in where the water goes, where the water goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you have like a sieve, it's no problem because a sieve you can't drain your pond completely with a sieve. Like that float box, whatever, is only going to move so far. But if you have like a RDF, potentially you could pretty much drain your pond if you're going into an RDF.
Yeah, like there are common issues that happen, and one of them is people draining their pond completely.
What through broken float switches and stuff like that, which will just continue to pump water out.
Yeah, that's you should do like an electronic one or something. Those cheap float switches don't really work so well.
At least they don't work so well over here. Maybe they're more sophisticated over there.
Thank you for popping in, Dave. Well, I think that's all of my questions. Sorry, just if there was no questions, I was going to throw it out there because I've been walking up and down with a spade all day.
You know, I thought the question about American ponds was interesting. Yeah. I joined my local pond club like, it's weird to say, 8 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And my wife and I were a part of our pond club for like 5 years before I even broke ground on my pond.
Wow.
And like my biggest thing the entire time I was like learning from everybody was all the things they regretted or wished they had done differently. And I tried to just make sure I didn't do any of that.
Wow, no wonder it took you 5 years to build a pond.
Yeah.
That's a lot of regret to try to mitigate.
Well, you know, and some people it was like just it's probably like even just little things here and there that people would talk about, like, oh, you know, I wish I had ran this size of pipe for this reason and different things. And I don't know. I just think it's there's a lot of knowledge you can learn from other people.
So what are your regrets?
My regrets?
Yeah.
I wish I had put a drain in the upper reservoir. The way that the water flows inside of the pond, where the skimmer box is, I might have done differently. Just things like that. Making it bigger. I kind of wish I'd made it bigger.
Oh, that's everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I get it. Medications, treatments, everything will be more expensive, but I'm like, it could have been like another 2,000 gallons.
Well, with the medications and treatment, absolutely, you're right about that. But that's why you have a quarantine tank.
Yep.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
We always recommend.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
yeah, you've got a great little setup for your quarantine tank.
Yes.
Like you guys use like those water tanks. It's really smart.
Yeah, you don't just have to function. Yep. And I think that's one of those things. Like we always tell people, instead of making a bigger pond, it's worth investing in multiple smaller, like holding things.
Build different ponds for different purposes.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
if you have the space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice to have an all-male pond?
Mm-hmm.
So you can separate the males and the females. One of the things too is separating by age. You like to talk about this a lot. Like
yeah, because like most of the time when they grow the fish in Japan, they keep them like within the same age group, so they're of similar size. So there's no like issue with like smaller fish outcompeting bigger fish for food and whatnot like that.
Mhm.
But also a great thing too would be if you had multiple ponds, you can separate by diet. So like shirotsuri and like yamabuki are going to need a different diet than like say kohaku and sho are going to need.
Exactly. You can do a lot more things. You can isolate a lot more things. Experiment a little bit more with a lot more multiple
yeah.
facilities as opposed to one. And you know, if you don't have multiple facilities, obviously that's not a big deal because you could keep small fish with big fish,
Mhm.
not a problem. But it always helps. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can test different filtration systems as well.
Yep.
Well, guys, I'll just quickly plug this. So these guys are just under 1,000 subscribers to be monetized on YouTube.
Yes.
It was a fantastic effort.
Go subscribe to their channel.
There is a QR code there. If you scan it, it'll take you directly to their subscribe button. So if you wouldn't mind, scan the QR code, give these guys a follow. They've got some amazing content on there.
Thank you. Devon actually bought a couple of new plants yesterday.
Oh yeah, I named them like and subscribe.
Wow.
One's a Venus flytrap and the other one's like a, I don't know, octopus plant or something like that. So they're meant to draw you in and trap you. So that's why they're like and subscribe.
That's great.
Yep.
And also not forgetting Ty from the Koi Pit.
Yes.
If any of my guys have never seen him, he's got some really cool content out there.
And also your
We've got our
channel
little
too
figurine.
for Ty's audience.
Roy Man. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
We're yeah. And you need to go check out Aaron's channel if you haven't already. They've got a lot of stuff going on. He was just explaining that they're in the midst of building their new pond. I keep saying they because I'm talking about you and Leo and Nikki. But
that was me.
Oh, that was Mickey, yeah.
oh.
Yes.
Boom.
That's cool that it shows up.
Yes.
So what's wrong with the rest of you? Why haven't you guys subscribed yet?
Come on.
We can see you. Yep.
Yeah, so we've just finished building my dad's pond. Well, not finished. Not finished. It's got water and fish in it. The filter house is still undergoing, but his old pond was leaking. So we've got it to a level where it's working with fish in it, but it still needs to be finished. As his bottom drain is connected to nothing, he's just put his old multi-bay right on the side of the pond and pump fed it for that until he gets his drum and the rest of his filter house built. Which when Ty jumped in here earlier, my dad was like, "Oh, I just need something plastic to get the drum 10 mil higher, and then we're on." I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't expect him to get that much done today, but it looks like this week we might have a drum turning at my dad's house, so that'll be something
sweet,
nice,
something cool."
So, how long have you been doing? Like, you do it with your dad ever since, Koi?
So my granddad had a pond.
Oh really?
And it was 6 foot by 2 foot, and it grew 1 paver's width, like a cement paver, every year when I was a child until it was as big as it could physically go in the garden, right? And I ain't joking yet. And then obviously my dad had a pond at his last house, and then he dug a temporary pond at this one, which it's been temporary far too long, until he's now just built an absolute monster of a pond. And we've just moved all his big fish from that pond to the new pond. So yeah, it's good to give them some actual water to swim in, because it's gone from being a tiny pond with a lot of big fish in it to a massive pond now where you look in it and the fish look lost.
Awesome.
But that's good though.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Right?
It's just
good never can stop.
Yeah, he's just been and bought. He's like he hasn't bought fish for ages. He's had the same stock, and he's just bought a load of little tozai, and how funny they look swimming around with 60 cm fish is so funny. But they're competing for food. They are right in there with all the big stock.
I find that they actually compete for food more when they have competition.
Mm-hmm.
When they have no reason to fight for it, they're like, meh, meh.
Mhm.
It's right there. I don't have to work that hard for it. So yeah.
Right. I know you guys are 4 minutes till shop opening?
Yep.
Yeah, so
It's California
It's
and
raining,
it's raining.
so nobody's out today.
And
so,
everyone's yeah. Californians are like, if it's not perfect, I'm not going out.
They all melt.
Watch Woody like knock on our door. Get to work, guys. Yep. I do have a question for you guys. What was the most surprising thing that we shared with you in this live stream?
what was the most surprising? I'll let Ty go first while I have a proper think.
I mean, Aaron had told me about it, that 50 cm Sanke. I hadn't seen the pictures yet.
Okay.
That's just wild still to see a koi develop like that. To see the sumi come in where there was none.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I could tell in that photo, that was surprising. But no, I think the thing that surprised me most was how great you guys have been on the show.
Oh, thank you.
I'm
surprised. I'm surprised too.
Guest.
We're the first guest, Devon.
Oh, we are?
You want to see the next guest?
Oh, that's awesome.
After I said that, I meant it as a compliment, but I realized that sounded like a diss. It wasn't. Not what I was going for.
Yep, we surprise people that way. You guys are just not so nice in person.
In person, we're quite rambunctious and like a big pill to swallow. Yeah.
Was that American English or British English?
We're really toned down when we're on film because there's proof.
Right, evidence.
Yes.
Evidence locker. These are questions from the audience, but I'll give you what I'll take away from it. I think your definition of how you explained how fish are graded with Tategoi, even though I'm not even going to try and pronounce the two names before it.
Chupa and Teteshta.
Them ones,
Tista. Oh.
C grade, B grade before you get to A grade, right?
Yeah.
Them ones. Like I've never heard it being explained like that, and I think for me it put it into a lot bigger picture because over here we're led to believe that the breeders keep hold of the Tategoi and don't sell them, and it's something that I've heard a lot of, and the way that you've explained it for someone that's actually spent 3 years working there, to me, has broadened my horizon on how it actually works.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've taken away from this. Question from Susan.
Really?
What? In Washington State? There's dealers in Washington.
No, I think she's on about the general public. So, like, for me to sell a fish to Ty, if we was both in the same country. Now, I think Stu's in the comment who's a dealer in the UK. I don't actually think there's any law against that. If you were selling it as a business, you need to have a pet shop license. But if I sold a koi to my dad and was to move it on, I don't think I am doing anything wrong by that. I think that's fully legitimate, but I'm not sure whether he's still.
I mean, I don't think, like, if you're trying to advertise it, like selling fish all the time, you probably need a business license, but I don't think there's any issues probably like selling fish, like moving fish on, like say this fish outgrew your pond, you don't need it anymore, and you want to sell it to somebody else. I don't really think.
I don't know.
I don't think the government's going to track you down.
Maybe it's different state to state.
Because I know, like, the only like weird thing I think in the U.S. is like the state of Maine. You're not even allowed koi are banned from the whole state.
Really?
Yeah.
No koi.
Did not know this.
Yep.
Yeah, it was news to me too.
Yeah.
And it could have changed. We don't know. But
I mean, it could change.
as far
but
as
I think it's
know,
still standing.
they're not allowed to have koi in Maine.
Yep.
I don't know. There you go. Look. That's probably the biggest reason why people don't advertise it in the UK, because when you sell stuff, you have to give the government tax. It's great. Just put it straight away. The tax man will be after. Yeah, Facebook takes. There you go. Look, right.
Facebook doesn't allow sale of live animals. That's
so. That's not Washington law. That's global. You're not allowed to sell livestock
or anything like that. You can sell koi, but Facebook doesn't allow selling of koi. Like, we have to be careful.
Exactly. But to go to like to go back to what Aaron was saying about koi and their grades and how everybody thinks about the way they think that no Tategoi ever leaves Japan. I think it's really interesting because that's not just a UK thing.
Oh, yeah, that's around the world. People think, the best koi could never leave Japan, but I could literally go buy a fish, win grand champion, and say, look, ship it to America, and they can't say no. But they could be like, yo, we want to buy this back from you, and then you can have the first 10 best offspring off of it or something. And like, I'd be dumb not to do that. But
they'll let it leave, but they will make sure there's a few hurdles for you on the way.
Yeah.
Because
typically they want to, what better like PR is there than breeding a grand champion fish, and then you could buy like the offspring of that fish.
But that being said, that's like at that level that it's already proven in itself. But from little fish, a lot of them feel like, oh, no good Tosai is ever going to come out of Japan. That's why we're never going to be able to grow a Tosai to grand champion.
Yeah, but it's not true. It's just learn how to.
Yeah.
If you learn how to take care of fish and properly like feed them and grow them and house them, you can turn the ugliest fish into a beautiful looking fish, because once they get to 90 cm, 95 cm, the presence of the fish, of its size, and like just the like shock value of like, oh my God, look at that thing. You don't even notice the pattern half of the time. You have to turn around and go back and be like, oh wait, that pattern's not even that great on that fish.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of.
Is that a customer straight away?
Yes.
He was like, guys, we know we need to wrap it up. And he's like, oh no, it's raining. No one's coming in today.
I guess some people do venture out when the weather's not perfect.
Koi people are crazy that way.
Exactly.
Well, Mickey and Devon, if you can hear me, thank you for joining us and for coming and talking to us about koi.
Oh, we
It's been
enjoyed it
amazing.
so much.
It's been amazing to have you guys on, and we can't thank you enough.
Oh no, it's our pleasure, and good job on getting this whole thing together. It's really amazing. I know there's a lot of koi content out there, but like having a live stream like this, like I don't think there's enough koi content actually. So this live stream is great. There's never enough koi content, but yeah,
Agreed.
This live stream is great. We really enjoyed doing this. Yeah, please check us out on demikoi.com. Please subscribe and like and all that stuff, because I think I'm supposed to say that, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what you meant to say. Like, share, subscribe. It's free.
Yep.
Perfect.
Is that it?
Alrighty.
Are we ready?
I think that's it.
Thank you
I
guys
don't know
for
how to end
watching.
a show.
Thank you
That's
guys.
why we
for
made an
watching.
outro.
We've got an outro, but we'll be with you at the first of next month, first Saturday of next month.
Yep. Yes.
By the way,
And
I do love the
Saturday
intro.
next month, we'll be doing this again.
The intro was great, by the way. I loved it. It was so funny.
Well, if you like the intro, the outro's out. You might like it.
And so the stream trickles to a close.
Yeah.
You've listened, you've learned, you've watched Tai try to pronounce Japanese words again. We've cast our net, and today, it pulled up something valuable. Knowledge, insight, maybe even a few controversial filter opinions. To our guest, thank you for diving in. To the audience, thank you for splashing around with us. And to Aaron, well, thank you for keeping this thing from sinking completely. Remember, the pond never sleeps, and neither does curiosity. So until next time, keep your nets ready, your test kits handy, and whatever you do, don't ask about stocking levels in the comments. This has been Hold My Net.